4-7, solving equations by factoring, where c is negative. If we look at our first example, we have x squared plus 13x minus 30. We're going to find the factors of that negative 30 that add up to be 13. So if we look at 1 and negative 30, 2 and negative 15, that would give us a positive 13. So let's look at negative 2 and positive 15. That would give us a positive 13. So negative 2 plus 15 is equal to positive 13. So this is going to break up to be x minus 2 times x plus 15. If we look at example 2, we have x squared minus x minus 20. So again, find the factors of that negative 20. That add up to be a negative 1. We have negative 1 and 20, negative 2 and 10, negative 4 and 5. Well, negative 4 plus 5 is a positive 1. We want a negative 1, so this is going to be a positive 4 and a negative 5 to give us that negative 1. So this is going to factor out to be x plus 4 times x minus 5. For example 3, we have a squared plus 29a minus 30. So find the factors of negative 30 that add up to be a 29. We have negative 1 and positive 30 is going to give us a positive 29. So this is going to be a minus 1 times a plus 30. For example 4, we have x squared minus 4kx minus 12k. And we're going to find the factors of the negative 12 to give us a negative 4. So we have 1 and negative 12, 2 and negative 6. That gives us a negative 4. Because this has a k squared and this has an x squared, we're going to separate that k and that x squared to be x and k. So it's going to be x plus 2k times x minus 6k. Remember, you can always FOIL these out to see if you are getting the same thing that you started with in order to see if your answers are correct. In order to solve these, you just want to make sure that everything is set equal to 0, and then you solve for each x. So factor, and then set each set of parentheses equal to x, and solve. Is equal to 0 and then solve. So for example 5, we have x squared minus 2x is equal to 15. Subtract the 15 from both sides. We have x squared minus 2x minus 15 is equal to 0. Find the factors of negative 15 that add up to be a negative 2. We have 1 and negative 15, 3 and negative 5. That's going to give us a negative 2. So this is going to be x plus 3 times x minus 5 is equal to 0. Set each set of parentheses equal to 0, so x plus 3 is equal to 0. X minus 5 is equal to 0. Now solve for x. Subtract the 3. You get x is equal to negative 3. Add the 5. You get x is equal to positive 5. So x is equal to negative 3. X is equal to 5. For example 6a, we have x squared minus x is equal to 56. We're going to move the 56 over by subtracting it from both sides. We have x squared minus x minus 56 is equal to 0. The factors of negative 56 that add up to be a 1 or negative 1 are 7 and 8. That 8 would have to be negative in order to give us a negative 1. So this is going to be x plus 7 times x minus 8 is equal to 0. We form that into x plus 7 is equal to 0 and x minus 8 is equal to 0. Solve for x. Subtract the 7. You have x is equal to negative 7. Add the 8. You have x is equal to positive 8. So x is equal to negative 7. X is equal to 8. For b, we have x squared plus 6x is equal to 135. Subtract the 135 from each side. We have x squared plus 6x minus 135 is equal to 0. The factors of negative 135 that add up to be a positive 6. You have a negative 9 and a positive 15 that give us a positive 6. So this is going to be x minus 9 times x plus 15 is equal to 0. Set them both equal to 0, so x minus 9 is equal to 0, x plus 15 is equal to 0. Solve for x for each. Add the 9 to both sides. We get x is equal to positive 9. Subtract the 15 from both sides. We have x is equal to negative 15. For C, we have x squared minus x squared plus x minus 132 is equal to 0. So the factors of negative 132 that add up to be a 1 are negative 11 and positive 12. So this is going to factor out to be x minus 11 times x plus 12 is equal to 0. Set each of them equal to 0 and solve. Subtract or add the 11 to both sides. For the x minus 11 is equal to 0, you get x is equal to 11. Subtract the 12 from each side, and the x plus 12 is equal to 0, you get x is equal to negative 12 as well. Again, remember with the section that we did with these, any of your answers you can plug into the original problem, and you should get a true statement if your answers are correct. So for D, we have x squared minus 14x is equal to 32. We're going to move that 32 over to get x squared minus 14x minus 32 is equal to 0. Your factors of 32 that add up to be a negative 14 are a positive 2 and a negative 16. So this is going to give us x plus 2 times x minus 16 is equal to 0. Set each set of parentheses equal to 0, so x plus 2 is equal to 0, x minus 16 is equal to 0. Solve for x. Subtract the 2 from each side, we get x is equal to negative 2. Add the 16 to both sides, we get x is equal to positive 16. If we look at some extra examples, for 11, we have z squared plus 3z minus 4. Your factors of negative 4 that add up to be a 3 are a negative 1 and a positive 4. So this is going to be z minus 1 times z plus 4. For 14, we have p squared plus p minus 12. Your factors of negative 12 that add up to be a positive 1 are 3 and 4. That 3 would have to be negative, that 4 would have to be positive to get that positive 1. So this is going to be p minus 3 times p plus 4. And 17, we have x squared plus 2x minus 15. Your factors of negative 15 that add up to be a positive 2. We have a negative 3 and a positive 5. And that's going to give us a positive 2. So this is going to be x minus 3 times x plus 5. For 12, we have z squared minus 4z minus 5. Your factors of negative 5 that add up to be a negative 4 are a positive 1 and a negative 5. So this is going to be z plus 1 times z minus 5. For 15, we have y squared minus 5y minus 14. The factors of negative 14 that add up to be a negative 5 are a positive 2 and a negative 7. So this is going to be y plus 2 times y minus 7. For 18, we have u squared minus u minus 2. So the factors of negative 2 that add up to be a negative 1 is a negative 2 and a positive 1. So this is going to be u minus 2 times u plus 1. For 13, we have c squared minus c minus 6. Your factors of negative 6 that add up to be a negative 1 are positive 2 and a negative 3. So this is going to be c plus 2 times c minus 3. For 16, we have r squared minus 2r minus 8. Your factors of negative 8 that add up to be negative 2 are a positive 2 and a negative 4. So this is r plus 2 times r minus 4. For 19, we have k squared plus 8k minus 9. Your factors of negative 9 that add up to be a positive 8 are a negative 1 and a positive 9. So this is going to be k minus 1 times k plus 9.